You don't have to do much to compete with Blizzard. You just have to be not assholes.
No, but their cinematics are on point.
Yes, they are. Path of Exile 2 is a free-to-play action RPG by Grinding Gear Games, and it looks incredible. So incredible that I think it could even be like a third-person game. I'm Lucas Olivieri, the creative director at Loreworx, a gaming startup, and in this series I look at upcoming games and I redesign their interfaces in hopes that a developer might watch this video and make a change or two. I'm excited about this one, so let's get started. ARPGs and CRPGs usually suffer from icon pox. It's the chicken pox, but with icons. And yes, I just made that up. Path of Exile 2 has an advanced stage of this condition. It's not really a bad thing, it's just that in my mind, whenever I see a screen in PoE 2, I feel like the designers thought, hey, let's solve it with icons. And it makes me think of ways to do something different. Take the Gemcutting window. Skill icons, everywhere. It doesn't look bad, it's safe, but I couldn't help thinking if I could make it look more interesting. And it didn't take long for me to have an idea. These boxes, along with these nameplates, remind me of picture frames, but the picture inside the skill art is too small. So what if I took the skill art and enlarged it so that it fills the space and actually creates a picture frame thing? I did my best with what I had to work with. I isolated every skill icon and upscaled them, but because the aspect ratio was squared, I also needed to mess with cropping and proportions to make it look cool in these wider slots. This isn't necessarily a quick change. If Grinding Gear Games doesn't have these skill art assets in a wider aspect ratio, their artists would have to extend their sides. And the sheer amount of skill icons makes this a bit time consuming, but I don't know, I think it looks more interesting. You know, you're expecting a window full of icons, but instead you get something a little different. Let me know what you think. Oh, and it would be nice if this screen was accessible without needing a stupid gem. Their tooltips are automatically resizing according to whatever you're hovering over. And I personally prefer when tooltips have a size, because you don't run into an issue where a tooltip can be too large. This tooltip, I think, is way too big. I don't know, like maybe this section of the tooltip where you are describing what happens, maybe that could be a button press. You know, I think to extend it, exactly, right. Like in Baldur's Gate 3, you have that where you press T, I think, and it not only locks it pins the tooltip, but it also expands it to give you more, because this is very, very large.
A few inches later.
All the tooltips have different sizes. You know, make them good, like just vertical. Vertical, people, vertical. Looks good though. Some things are more important than others in HUDs, in game HUDs, and I like it when developers give importance to these elements that are supposed to be more important. So your health, your mana, and then obviously the boss health. In this case, a giant, thick bar. This could easily be a third-person RPG as well. It's just the fidelity, the animations, the world around your character. The one thing that wouldn't work in third person, probably, right? Is the thing, when you're designing an isometric game like this, you don't worry about ceilings. The mod would be very strange with no ceilings, but I would still want to play it. I mean, it would change completely how you would play the game, right? So it would be awesome. It's like you play the game for 200 hours in this isometric mode, and then you download the third person mod, and you play again. Look at this, dude, this is the world here the level design is amazing. See what I mean? Like this could be easily third person, a freaking survival game in the forest.
The animation is so good that they make a boring archer something nice.
Hey,
one of
now,
the worst
archers.
classes on RPG.
Hey, stop it. Stop it, it's my favorite class. These Ascension circles. I love, because you could see that this is where the artists were like, okay, now we can go creative, and they have this amazing art. This is the kind of UI design I love to see. The game still uses icons here, but they arrange them so they conform to the art in the back. It's freaking awesome. I just don't like this text. It's hard to read because it lacks contrast, and it's just not that useful. So what if we remove the text and make use of this information button here? There's a perfect spot for it right under the class name. If you click the information button, you get that line of text and a spicier presentation of the character art behind it. You know, so your reward for clicking the button isn't just a sentence. I would go a bit further still and add a simple looping animation here, nothing too catchy, like this. I also noticed that the Choose Your Ascendency class banner on top was red on the Infernalist art and gold on the Witch Hunter. I think it's so cool when the game interface, mainly the HUD, changes the aesthetics when you unlock something in game, and I hope they take this further, though that sounds like a microtransaction waiting to happen. Crusader Kings 3 does this really well. The interface changes according to your character's culture. As a quick example, here's the HUD in the same shade of red and gold. This is just a quick recolor though. I'm not an illustrator, but I would change these statues, make them skeletons or something more representative of the selected Ascendancy class. Then allow the player to choose the design they want in the options screen. If you enjoy this redesigned video, consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. You'll be helping us make our own game, and we'll be forever freaking grateful. I'm seeing this in other game screens as well. Like some of these icons that they use in these specific screens look a little out of place, like they don't belong. This one isn't as bad. This button here with this hammer, it feels, you know, like, I'm just gonna this here. Honestly, none of this is necessary because it's not being used as a screen. The actual interface element here is totally optional. It's just there to activate the salvaging. Well, activate the salvaging when you click on the bench itself instead of having this extra step of opening this strange looking interface pop-up. You could just activate it as soon as you click it, and then you're into the salvage mode, and then just you hit escape on the keyboard, or you can place one of these X's, these red X's, somewhere on the screen, and then you stop salvaging. There's no need for the actual pop-up. Here's another example of a mini screen, mini like pop-up looking thing, where you have a button that just doesn't seem like it belongs. I mean, this dagger axe button is sticking out like a freaking pimple. It's just attached to the thing for some reason. I think it's a placeholder situation. This merchant window is clearly unfinished. The item text isn't aligned correctly, the item frames aren't centered correctly, neither are the items themselves, and uncentered UI elements really grind my gears. Get it? There's a perfect slot for the purchase button right here, and yet they don't use it. I also think this window is too big, at least for PC players. But I know they're gonna make changes here. I think this item list will grow because there's an obvious spot for a scroll bar here. But hey, let's fix the stuff that I mentioned. Okay, this is a quick one. I love using light on game screens. It can really make things look a lot more interesting, and as long as you don't fill the game with purple glitter bombs and pick your spots, it makes a cool difference. I thought illuminating the path you've chosen would look neat, making the scroll look more magical or whatever. I also replaced this button with something that looks more coherent, and I gave it a bevel so it looks more like a button. What was that? I love Lucy? Oh my god, I love Lucy! This is great. This is so fun. So here's the thing. When you're making games is a long freaking process, okay? I do this, I can relate because I do this so often when I'm making a game. I always give the characters and stuff in my games as I'm making them funky, stupid names. So I Love Lucy is obviously a developer that was like, I'm gonna laugh a little bit. And then I Miss Nerfs is the other person. Beautiful. See, this game is gonna be great because when I see things like this, you know, the development team having fun with stupid character names and the attention to detail, I just know it's going to be an IGN 7. We need to talk about the passive skill screen. And before you click dislike, just hear me out. Path of Exile is famous for this screen. It is a work of art. And there's so much good in how it's implemented. Having 2 different skill sets for your weapons, freaking awesome. A freaking search function, amazing. But this screen is intimidating, and the developers know it.
Now, a lot of people open the tree and can get a little intimidated at first, but try not to be scared.
Oh, okay.
Yet nothing is being done to alleviate the intimidation factor here. So how can the game make this screen more accessible to new players without streamlining anything? I freaking hate streamlining. Why not present it in 2 different manners? Guided for new players and unrestricted for veterans. Make it toggleable. Make it optional. When you give players options, everybody wins. You see, I think Grinding Gear Games is an awesome studio. I became a fan after watching their delay announcement. I want them to succeed. Free-to-play games need a large player base to be successful, and the way the passive screen is presented is currently a huge barrier to new players. This isn't scientific, but I have a group of friends that I game with. There are 5 of us, and 2 of them said they wouldn't touch the game after looking at the screen. If you're a Path of Exile fan, you know this isn't uncommon. My solution is this pop-up that would appear the first time you open the screen. The unrestricted version is already in the game, so I'm not going to talk about it. But if a new player selects the guided view, the screen then uses a simple fog of war system. Skills that are completely inaccessible are then hidden, and you get a much more focused screen. It would be more zoomed in than this, obviously. This is zoomed out for demonstration's sake. As you level up, the fog of war dissipates, revealing more of the faraway skills. Once you play the game for a bunch of hours, you're hooked. You're familiar with all the mechanics and systems, and these screens no longer drive you away. That's why the Atlas skill tree works. It's an endgame screen. They could throw 10,000 skills at you after you hit the level cap. It wouldn't intimidate you because you're a veteran. You do that at level 1 and you lose potential customers.
Oh my god.
I added a view selection button to the top right of the screen so players can switch to the unrestricted view anytime they want. And next to that is the planning button. I would enter planning mode, a little quality of life feature that I thought would be a nice addition. It would tell you how many skill points you would have to spend in total, and it would show up on your skill tree in green or any other color, even when you don't have planning mode on. The end game in this game is going to make Grinding Gear Games so much money. As it should. People gotta make money, and they deserve it. They seem like they have a similar philosophy that I have when I'm designing the game that I'm designing. It's free to play, right? I want to make players feel guilty that they're not spending money. You understand?
Yeah.
I want to give people so much freaking content that you'll have that similar feeling that you have on YouTube when you watch like a 3-hour documentary for free and you feel guilty. You feel like you just stole something, you know? That's what I want to give players. And I feel like they're doing the same thing. And I also feel like if you do it like that, you're going to make money, because people will feel like they should invest in your game. The game looks great. Grinding Gear Games is great. They deserve your money, so give it to them. And if you like this video, then click this other video because YouTube thinks you're gonna love it. You're gonna love this video according to the algorithm that knows me better than my mom does. So click it, and also don't forget that fun is business, and if you drink, play Path of Exile 2, don't drive.
Just don't open the passive skill.
Do not open the passive skill tree.